Well, hello, Benjies. Welcome to the BingeWorthy podcast, part of the Geekish Network. My name is Johnny Randolph, and I am one of your co-hosts. I am a speaker, a trainer, and a podcaster. And you may notice we've got a different lineup tonight. But one of the consistent stars of this show. She's an actress, she's a writer, she's a director. I just call her a superstar. Say what's up to the people, Miss Courtney Scott, right?
Hello.
And while this guy, he's no stranger to the BingeWorthy podcast. He's been here several times. But Travis, man, tell the people about your street cred. Let them know who you are.
Look, my name is Travis and I make games. I've been doing it for a long time. So much so that I forget some of the games I've made. How about that?
All right, man.
That's enough about me.
And we are the BingeWorthy podcast. How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm good, man.
Very good.
Like we were discussing, in the, before we went live, it's like this last part of 2022, seems like, I was going to make a bathroom reference here, but like because of COVID, a lot of stuff didn't come out. You know what I'm saying? And everyone sort of holed up. And so they were like creating all this content. And now that you can go back out in the world, it seems like all this content now is just, kicking in an overdrive, So like this last part of 2022 is just a geek's dream.
Yeah, we've had a lot of bangers out here. Okay, well, anyway, if you guys have not seen our show, the premise is that each week we will binge watch a television series. And then we come here to the BingeWorthy podcast to discuss that series. At the beginning of the show, we will rate it using our unique BingeWorthy scale. And then afterwards, we engage in conversation. We talk about plots, we talk about acting quality, visuals, action sequences, animation quality, the full spectrum of the property. And at the end, we will re-rate it. Now, sometimes our co-hosts can influence us to change our rating. Sometimes they can influence us to lift it up, and at other times they pull it all the way down to the floor. I see Travis moving his hands. I think the last time he was here, he tried to bully us, right? Was it Picard? He tried to bully us into our ratings. I think that's why he's shaking his hands right like that.
That's what I do.
Now, speaking of our BingeWorthy scales, it is as followed. At a number 5 is what we call a full binge out. That means this property is outstanding. It is dynamic. It is one of those things that you cannot miss. At a number 4, we call it a full meal. A full meal, it is definitely worth investing in. It's not a full binge out, but you still want to watch it. At a number 3, we call it a mini meal. A mini meal is kind of, it's not bad. It's not good, it's just kind of, It's a snack. Courtney always describes it as a bland-ass TV dinner, and I say without any Lyra seasoning sprinkled in. And at a number 2, it's what we call a snack. A snack, it has no real nutritional value. You're just kind of eating it. I always say it's like an old bag of Cheetos left up in the cabinet, and you're too lazy to go out to the store. So you got all them Cheetos
left with Cheeto fingers.
Yeah, Cheeto fingers after you get through eating.
Wait, let's not hate on Cheeto fingers.
I know. I actually have some Cheetos. I'm about to go and get my Cheetos real quick.
An old bag of Cheetos, though. You don't want an old bag of Cheetos. You want a fresh bag of Cheetos.
Yeah, that's true.
That's for a snack. And then at a number 1, that's what we call a cringeworthy. And a cringeworthy is just some old bullshit. Something is like, why the hell did I waste my time watching this? And tonight we are reviewing Lord of the Rings, Ring of Power. It's set 1,000 years before the events of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. The series is based on author George R.R. Tolkien's history of Middle-earth. So now we are going to evaluate it. So I'm going to start with you tonight, Courtney. Courtney, how are you going to rate Lord of the Rings, Ring of Power?
So I'm a huge I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fans. I've read The Hobbit. I've read all 3, Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King. I have not read the Silmarillion. That's the one I have not read, which is on my list now. Got Stephen Colbert out here speaking free and Elvish and whatnot. I'm gonna learn some Elvish. Um, I'm a huge fan, and I thought this was stunning. But you know, I as much as I think I nostalgically loved it, I gave a lot of extra points for my love of the series. It's tough. It's tough. It's so tough. I feel like I'm in between a mini meal and a full meal. And I'm gonna say full just because I was full. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed watching the series. I can't give it a full binge out just because there were some standout characters that I really enjoyed following their journey. But everybody else, not everybody slayed. So I'm gonna say full meal.
Full meal? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Travis, brother, we're gonna let you jump in here. How are you going to rate the Ring of Powers?
Man, if you don't come up off of this full binge out, like, you're gonna make the baby Jesus cry.
He's starting. He's starting already.
It's about to go down.
We gonna talk about these things. Come on. So
okay, listen, John, Tolkien, like
That's his son, right?
That's him.
grandson?
No,
Grandson?
listen, no,
J.R.R.
listen, yeah, JR. Listen, what I'm
J.R.R.,
saying,
okay.
yeah. So listen, what I'm saying is that it is, although everything that he did was, an amalgamation of, other folklore from other places and so on and so forth, and one can say that creativity is hiding your sources, right? This is a wellspring from which all modern fantasy comes from.
Mm-hmm.
This is about as close to a serious Kobayashi Maru that you can ever have. Like, you cannot win here. You can't. Okay. Because people have this idea in their head of what that should be. And if it's not in their head canon, they're going to just go nuts. And they're going to fall back to like, well, Tolkien didn't do this or he didn't say that. And yeah, it's going to happen. Right.
Oh,
but all I'm saying,
bothered me. None of that bothered me.
I understand. I'm not speaking to you. I'm not speaking.
Okay.
As much as I'm speaking to general like
The masses.
noise that I've heard. Yeah. So you can't win. And do you get close enough that I give you, the 5 stars? Absolutely. And we can go into that a little deeper later. But yeah, I mean, when I consider, or when one should objectively consider the monumental task that this is, right? Like, could I have executed that better? I don't think so. And that's why I got to give you the 5 stars. If I can say, like, if I had to do this, would I change it, or was there something that just sort of made me go ugh, or no. And I'm from one am enjoying this ride. I'm enjoying this ride because this is like events that were hinted at, and there were events that you sort of like, okay, these things happen, but you don't know how to get there, and that's the difference between knowing the path and walking the path. And I am thoroughly enjoying walking this path.
Okay. All right. So you're giving a full binge out. All right. So I am going to jump in here. I'm kind of the opposite of you two. I am not
the opposite.
Yeah, I'm not an avid Lord of the Rings fan. I mean, the movies I thought were okay, with the exception of that third one. I thought the third one was great, right? That's the only one out of the Hobbit movies and the other 3 that I thought were great. They were entertaining. That's all.
Wait. Look, you talking about the first set? You talking about the Hobbit set?
I'm talking about all of them, the first set and the Hobbit. So out of the Hobbit and the first set, I only really thought one of them were great.
The Return of the King.
The last one in the first set, the third one.
Okay.
Return of the King.
Yeah, Return of the King. That was the only one I thought was great. Now, with that being said, I'm all about spectacle. You know, I love to see spectacle. And so with this, I thought that's what we were getting. And on that front, to me, it didn't disappoint because visually it was beautiful. It's like, wow, we are in this world. Now, that pilot that kicked off, I won't even say the pilot, the first 2 episodes, they were a little slow for me. And I had to literally serious. I was like, even after the 3rd episode, I was saying to myself, I'm going to phone this one in. I'm going to give it a snack and let it be because I don't know if I want to continue even watching this. As I went farther, though, it got better. And the characters started to appeal to me. I started to become invested in it. So about the halfway point, I was like, well, maybe it's a mini meal. And by the time I was finished, I was so fully invested, and I was like, oh, wow, I'm actually looking forward to another season because it had completely turned me around. I'm not with Travis. I'm not giving it a full binge out. I thought it was a solid full meal, the way it was able to weave all of those elements together and really take me from being a person that was bored by it at first to a person that was seriously invested in what was going on. So for me, I'm giving it a full meal. And total, so we got 2 full meals and a full binge out. That gives us a cumulative score of 4.33. So we're right at a full meal, maybe on the cusp.
And Chuck didn't give you his rating?
Chuck didn't give me his rating yet.
He don't get the vote. He don't get the vote. He ain't here.
Well, it's probably better because I know his rating was not.
Yeah, that's because he's a hater. Cause that's fine.
So, Catherine and Mark Savoy are in the chat. They
okay.
Catherine visits. So I don't know what
What's
her
up?
rating was, but if
Mark
she would like to share.
Amazon. Okay, Mark said Amazon invested too much into this for me to not have heard people talking about it. Captain, oh man, there were some haters out there coming for this show. I had to filter through the TV, trying to find a non-toxic. I want to start. I am not in that group at all. I don't want to pretend like, do not confuse me with that at all. I am not in that group at all. It's just, to me, it started off a little slow, man. I know y'all fans, those first 2 episodes.
Okay. You know what? Can I pop in, Travis, before? But let me pop in. Actually, listening to you, Randy, you reminded me how much I enjoyed the first 2 episodes. And that was something that I forgot because I had the opportunity to see the first 2 episodes on the big screen. I saw a screening at the Regal Theaters of the first 2 episodes, and they were back to back. So in that arena, in that, like, the Dolby sound and just one leading right into the other like a movie, it actually like blew me away how much I enjoyed it. Like the first half, and again, it could have been the ambiance, could have been the audience, could have been a whole lot of, but I thought the second episode of that grouping, I thought was fire. I thought the second half, that second hour, I thought was fire. And just listening to you, like, I was reminded because I forgot how much I because I even put out a review like online, like, I love Lord of the Rings, like, I'm loving it so much, having such a good time. And I just wanted to pop in. I might be just on that remembrance. I might be going to. It looks like I'm probably gonna jump up. I'm just I'm putting it out there.
Look.
I'm probably gonna jump my rating.
I like I'm picking up what you're putting down here. Listen, people, and I'm not going to say millennials, but I'll say millennials, or I'll say the YouTube generation, shout out to YouTube. Look, stop trying to get the dessert before the meal. Like, it seems like no one today has 5 minutes to watch something and get it. Like you take all of the great TV shows, okay, that you've ever seen. They didn't start out as epic. You know what I'm saying? You ease into that. And so people get like an hour or two of a show that is clearly going to be like more than 40 episodes. Like, hey, dog, chill. And so so this first episode, at least for me, Johnny, was like, it was like a palate cleanser almost. And I'm almost, and I'm jealous of Courtney being able to see this on the big screen, because like when they showed you like Middle Earth, you were like, yo, son,
Yes.
They did it. They
visually,
did it.
Yes, visually, visually, it's beautiful. It's like, wow, like they really brought us into this. It was just slow for me. I don't want to get too bogged down there. We'll talk about it later. I don't want to.
You don't want to slow it down.
Well, we have a tendency sometimes, because we're all real passionate about things, and we'll take a thing and it'll be the whole length of the show, and we'll look up and like, oh, we spent 40 minutes talking about the
beginning.
Slowness.
Yeah, right. So I don't want this to turn into that, because
good enough.
It's happened. So the first thing I'm gonna start off is Courtney, you did mention that you had read the books and the source material is pulled from the novels and the appendices. So as a fan of the books, how do you feel that this show, how would you feel like as a fan, the fans would feel about this show based on the source material?
So another cool thing is that I got to sit in the Lord of the Rings panel at Comic-Con, and I got to hear them talk about how much of the appendices they were able to use, and they weren't able to really pull from the Silmarillion, but they were able to pull elements that had been mentioned in the appendices about like the history of like the gems that Celebrimbor used and the person that he got them from, which was back in Valinor. I believe it was back in Valinor. There's like a whole history that has to do with like Elrond's dad, and then there was like another, I can't remember that guy's name, it was a king who had the 3 gems, who was like losing his mind about these gems. And so there was like a lot of history and lore that was packed in there that they couldn't give you the exact specifications because they didn't have the rights to those names of those characters. But just like the histories of having like Celebrimbor, like having the king what's his name?
Galahad, or
I think it's Galahad. I remember it being similar to Galahad, but it's like Galahad,
yeah.
some Gil-galad. Thank you.
Gil-galad.
Yeah. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Rodney.
Thank you. Eyes in the sky. Gil-galad, having that, because these are all characters that were briefly mentioned in the original film series that Peter Jackson's met, but we had never experienced them because it was in the second, like it was three generations later. So these people were all gone by the time like Galadriel and Elrond were in the positions and the ethereal people, that elves that we have come to know. So to see them in their youthful spirit and to see how they came up and to even learn the history of Elrond, which is the fact that he's a half elf, like that never came up. You know what I mean? The fact that he has a twin brother who started Numenor, like the ancients, you know what I'm saying? Like, and his half brother chose to remain and be half human. So I think they did a really good job adapting elements of the histories and the appendices, and then even introducing us to Valinor, you know what I mean? And explaining like where the elves went at the end of the first at the end of Return of the King, when Galadriel, when Elrond, when all of them decided to like get on that ship and go off to this like into the sunset. I'm like, where they going? Like, oh, is it the afterworld? Like, you know what I mean? Like, not really even. And I read the books and I didn't really get the depth of what Valinor represented. So I think that they did a really good job with the histories. Because we only know Numenor with the dead kings. Like when they go back there and they have the table set and they're all asking them like all these questions and what have you. So to see Numenor in all its glory was just fantastic.
We're gonna talk more about that in Numenor because I love that
episode. I want Courtney to talk all night.
But I'm gonna turn it over to you, Travis. Yeah, she kills it. She kills it, absolutely. So, a rumor that $58 million were spent like per episode on this. I thought the visuals were stunning. I want to know, what were your thoughts on the visual effects, and if you did really think that they were good, what stood out to you?
What stood out to me? Man. I mean, I have never seen a show where I have just seen it all on the screen, right? Like when they said, you know how you just, it doesn't matter what it is, just something that is finely crafted, right? Like, a pair of, like a Louis Vuitton like bag, or you know what I'm saying, like Jimmy Choo shoes or something like that. Like, you don't have to know anything, but you can look at it and go, this is well made, this is expensive, right? That's what brings the power. For me, just watching it, I was just like, this is expensive. And I could say that, to me, all of the shots were great, and the one I got emotional about was seeing Moria in its heyday.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you never saw any of the female dwarves. You never, you didn't see how do you get sunlight down there? You didn't see like how these dwarves really kicked all sorts of ass from an engineering standpoint. You know what I'm saying? And just listening to like Disa talk about like, how they sing the stones and all this, and ask me some more questions about this. But your original question was, like, what blew you away? And and I just saw Moria, and I thought how tragic it is what's coming, and I'm like, damn. So that made me feel like, wow, this is expensive, but it's emotional and sad all at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Speaking of, I forgot like when I said like the generations, it was in the first age, like it's the different ages. So I misspoke, right? For the people that were going, come for me and correct me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want you to know, I understand I misspoke. And I forgot to mention there's like the level of characters that like Isildur, mm-hmm. Like, we know who Isildur is, we know who he's going to become, mm-hmm. We know who Elendil, like his dad, how his dad becomes like the first king of, I think it's Gondor, because then Isildur takes over, like, you know what I mean, like, and Isildur is the one who like cuts that ring off of Sauron's hand, and like, the reason the ring is lost, and like it, so he's not dead, you know what I mean, like there are just so many things that like history, when he came out and you're like, this is Isildur, I was like
I don't remember all of these things. I already saw the movies,
but I read the books. Like, it's different because I remember all their names, and like it's literally like it's mana. Like, it's mana to the, like, it's everything that you want to get. Like, when I watched the first Game of Thrones series, the first Game of Thrones series. I read all those books. So when all those characters came out, people were tripping over names, like, you know, the one dude who's real tall and the other dude with the red hair. And I'm like, yeah, so you mean Tormund Giantsbane, and you mean the Mountain? You know what I mean? Like, I'm naming people, and they're like, yeah, that dude. And I'm like, so it's just like there's a richness and a quality that you get from reading the books that then feed you even more when you get to see it visually. So it's just like, in terms of like, I know you didn't ask me about like the special effects, but I thought they were wonderful, just in terms of like seeing that explode, like when the mountain exploded, and I'm jumping, when the mountain exploded and you see everybody after the fact, like with all the ash, you know what I mean? Just like in the color of the sky, the changing of the sky when the orcs took over, like just how it created.
Yeah. And you could tell, like they said,
like
they
it felt hot, like I freaking felt hot.
Right. And they could now come out in the light when you knew you saw the one where his skin got burned just even touching it. But after the explosion, right? After the explosion, you could visually see it was daylight, but it was so, I don't know, gloomy. And it's like, now this is creating an environment where they are
burn the sky.
Yeah,
it's like it burned. It's like it scorched the sky, and it could not.
So and then now it's feasible for them to come out, and that's actually my favorite. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So we have a large cast with this, and this is one of the things I did enjoy about it. It's vast world building. It's very world building. There's a lot of characters in it. So Courtney, I'll start with you, and I'll let Travis jump in too. What did you think about the quality of the acting for this large cast that we have?
I thought it was phenomenal. I thought everybody did a really good job. Like, everybody understood their character. They understood the mission. Each and every actor understood the mission. Even if you didn't like the little Harfoots, they understood the mission. You know, like they knew their characters in and out. And these are people that because they knew them, then I was able to fall in love with them, or viscerally be angry with them, or like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like Galadriel, like this is a character, an actress who is quite younger than Cate Blanchett was, but yet she still has this ethereal, regal quality that she's going to grow up and become this woman that we have gone to love. Because Galadriel is my favorite character, and I didn't get enough of Galadriel in the entire series, because I'm like, what can she go to? You know, so now this is literally the gift that I asked for. And I think she's doing a wonderful job. I especially want to give a shout out to the woman, the actress plays Disa, the female dwarf, the first Black female dwarf, you know what I'm saying? And then Arondir, who is our like Black elf, who's the warrior. Yo, that scene when he came up out of the depths of the pit when the orcs had him. And I saw that scene at Comic-Con, and I got chills just thinking about it again. So I saw that scene at Comic-Con when he like leaps up and his chain is like dragging, and he's like comes in with that axe. Yeah.
Black
Special
Latino.
Effects.
Black Latino.
He's Black. He's like Cuban. I think he's like Black.
He's Puerto Rican,
isn't it? Puerto Rican. Yeah.
I think
he killed it.
Yeah, I think you're right. He is. Yeah, Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Like everybody, I thought understood the mission. So yeah.
So okay. So listen. The acting here was just supernatural. It was out of control. You know, it was funny because I remember.
To a full binge on y'all. Go ahead.
I already told you, like, because I forgot. I forgot.
See, yeah, I'm here for you, Courtney. I'm here for you. You know, I'm here. There's no bullying here. You know what I'm saying? It's just welcome.
What?
No, you didn't have to, because I was coming off of like a couple of slower episodes, and that it reminded me, and then I got stuck there, but I didn't remember the joy and the love that I have for. Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
So, you know, I thought the first thing is Galadriel, like fully realizing, you know, her character, like she's badass. Okay. She's tough. She's wise. She's driven, almost to a fault, which was kind of cool, right? Because I remember, you know, obviously seeing the Peter Jackson movies and her saying, "Look, don't offer me this ring. You don't understand. Like, I got issues. And you're like, what kind of issues? And now you see them playing out. Like, she's hardcore warrior and driven big time, so that was cool. Elrond and Prince Durin, okay, when they had the contest, right? And Elrond was like, I give up, and they're going up the elevator. They're going to the elevator, and you're like, dude, like, what's going on? And he's telling them, hey, you're supposed to be my man, 50 grand.
And I ain't seen you.
And I ain't seen you, man. I ain't seen you when I got married. I hadn't seen you with my kids. Like, what the fuck, man? Right?
That scene
and he
gave
was like,
life.
You broke my heart. Cause you my boy. Right? And I was like, I'm digging all parts of this. Right? Like, that's my man's. You know what I'm saying? And so when I saw that scene, I was like, Travis, this is gonna be a ride. So there's that, right? There's, obviously, we all know it's Gandalf now, right? Like,
it has to be Gandalf because it's him and the Harfoots.
Yeah, it's. I think it's either him or Radagast, but why would you? I don't think it's
Radagast. It's not Saruman the White. It's not Saruman.
So why would you not use Gandalf if you got the rights to him? You know what I'm saying? So with that in mind, like him saying, like, starting to understand language again and going like, am I a peril? That, those emotional scenes, especially like when the Harfoots get together and they're eulogizing their dead, you know what I'm saying? That scene where, we'll wait for you.
What was that about?
We'll wait for you. Come on, man. Come on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is epic. This is next level stuff. This is next level stuff in an area where it's dangerous. Like, you can mess this up easily, right? And these cats, man, these actors and these writers threaded the needle and they made it happen. Give them their full binge out and stop playing. Stop playing.
All right, so we got the chat is going crazy out here. So we got Newt from DeVille. He says, what do you think about people thinking that Galadriel was reconned because we didn't see the same attitude from her in the original Lord of the Rings movies?
I would like to chime in on that.
I can't wait.
I would like to chime in. I don't think she was retconned because here's the thing. This is a character. By the time we saw her, she was like thousands of years old. Thousands of years old. And this is her as a youthful woman who has just, like, we literally saw her as a little girl.
That's right.
We saw her as a little girl, and this is someone who's probably maybe like 400 or 500 years old. Mm-hmm. Like, that's it. As and well, they do, but in the span of an elf. In a span of an elf, they don't age in the way that the humans do. So that's what the whole thing with Elrond was saying. Like, when Doran was like, yo, I got married, I had kids, where you been? For you, and he's like, for you, 20 years is like a drop in the bucket. For me, 20, and Elrond's like, for me, 20 years is like, or Doran said, so for me, 20 years is everything. Yeah. Because I'm not going to be here as long as you are. Mm-hmm. So it's like that in and of itself gave us the explanation of how Galadriel comes to be the ethereal high queen that we know she's going to become. Because already right now, number one, she's wiser than the king that right now, the king, tell me his name again. Gilgalad. Thank you. Gilgalad. She's already wiser. Yeah, she's already wiser than he wants to be because he's right now trying to maintain.
Yep.
That's his whole thing. He's just trying to maintain. I'm trying to save the elves. You don't know what's going on. And I don't have time to be still hunting for this dude because he's a problem that I can't control. But I got this problem over here that I really need to deal with. And meanwhile, she's seeing big picture. So it's not that she's been retconned. It's that she's been through this. It's kind of like what Travis just said. It's like she told him, don't give me this ring because I can't be responsible because I've already had one ring. And we saw her get the ring. We saw her get one of those rings. Huh?
Yep.
But it also changes their mentality. It changes them completely.
Yep. Yep.
Right. But
Yep.
corrupted, exactly. It's the corruption that, but the wisdom it takes for somebody to realize that I will be corrupted. Therefore, I don't want to be more dangerous to the people that are that are living and existing right now. And I don't, so that's why I think that it wasn't necessarily a retcon as it was, like you said, Rodney, character development. And we're bringing you up to the point we're catching, basically they're catching us up.
Thank you, Courtney. Whatever Courtney said, put a stamp on it, ship it, express mail. Ta-da.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Cause straight up, she said, I'm gonna kill every one of your kids. And damn it, she lived to see that happen.
She sure did.
You know what I'm saying?
She sure did.
I was like, yo, son.
And she wasn't leaving until they did.
Yeah, she said, look, this is how it's going down. You see all these little monstrosities? Yeah, I'm gonna
all
kill
your
you.
kids got to go.
And them, you know what I'm saying?
Fuck you and your kids.
You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened.
So
look, Galadriel, like I was telling my lady, I was like, yo, you don't understand. Like Galadriel's like the bomb diggy. Like she like,
really is.
She is like the John Wick.
She is the epitome of like the female character that I want to create and have the opportunity to play.
Please believe.
She is the truth.
Yes.
She is like the essence, like that sword that she carried around. The fact that sword, the sword that she gets from her brother that pulls from his corpse.
Yes.
And this sword is something that has carried, this dagger that she has carried from the battlefield to jumping into the ocean to Numenor, back to the Southlands, and then back to the kingdom, only to melt it down because this is the only way to help save the elves and to sustain and to beat Sauron, who she now knows exists. Like, come on, man. If that's not character, if that's not storytelling, I don't know what is, because I did
Johnny,
not say
even the mental fight she had to deal with, like, because she was in a dream world and she saw her brother. The one person who was driving her, the one person who was driving her, and she still had the strength to say, nah. This ain't it.
This ain't it.
My brother dead.
You not
as much
coming
as
for
I
me.
want him to be back. Yeah, nah, this not the one, son.
Yeah.
And so like that was powerful. So let's talk about the action sequences. Episode 6 is my favorite. It's when they have the huge fight. And then we see everything blow up, but there are also other action sequences in there. So Travis, what did you think about the quality of the action sequences and the fighting throughout the series? And then Courtney, I'll let you jump in here.
I thought it was spectacular. I really did. And not only that, it felt actually even more visceral than the movies, right? Like you saw people get cut up in this. You know what I'm saying? Like there was some ghastly, scenes in this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, as soon as you saw like, Adar, and he comes on the scene, and you can see this, Orc is like, oh, my Lord and Savior, and he's like, yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God. Like, even the subtle action, like him just stabbing up, someone was fantastic. Just the, just Galadriel like sunning all of the soldiers, just
That
That was
scene when she was
hilarious.
training.
she was like, what y'all know
Yo.
about combat? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, no, Galadriel is everything, right?
In a dress.
Oh, we.
She didn't even have on her armor.
I know, right? And something told me that the nick that she got was because she wanted him to be lieutenant.
Yeah, because he held his own with her.
That's right.
I think she did that on purpose because she
Yeah.
didn't even like look to know. She was like, "Yeah, go get your stripes, Lieutenant.
Yeah.
Go on, you earn this."
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So from that to like the magic battles, like when you had like these mysterious wizards like battling Gandalf, just those effects, like just the action period, like Arondir, like all his scenes, with him just going off in every conceivable way, like, come on, I'm gonna catch an arrow in mid-flight, knock it, and shoot it back at you.
Right, that scene. Oh God, that scene when he caught that arrow. When he was crawling through the tunnels, and they ripped him back through, and we just lost him for like a while.
Yeah.
And like I knew where he was going because I saw the clips at Comic-Con, but like then to see him battling and to watch his two compadres like both go down, and he still held it down. He still held it down and came through. Like Arondir was my ace, man. Even his like quiet scenes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next seasons and the seasons after that, seeing him go nuts, right? Because he is clearly the Legolas of this show.
He really is.
What I'm saying, and that was the one thing that I really liked about the Lord of the Rings movies is like Legolas was a straight up assassin.
He was my favorite character,
and Legolas was a beast. He never wasted an arrow. Every time he shot,
and he was so quiet.
Yeah,
he was so quiet, and
walking
he
on top of snow.
missed.
Yeah, never.
Come on,
he was
now.
just so quiet, full of wisdom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like Galadriel, like he was like his father was Galadriel's like nephew, was it?
I'm not sure actually.
I think they were distantly related. But I mean, anyways, it doesn't really matter. But like they were connected in some way. And Arondir, you're right. I didn't even peep that. Like he is the Legolas character.
Mm-hmm.
And he hooked up with a human chick while they were occupying the land. So
why not?
He had time to get it in, even while he was doing his military.
But he was so compelling.
And the assassins got needs.
Compelling.
Like got needs. They do. Okay. So there seemed to be a lot of speculation about who was Sauron. Were either of you Sauron? Okay. Were either you surprised with who he turned out to be in the end? Did you all have other guesses?
I was. I did not see him. No, go ahead, Travis.
No, I was gonna say Courtney, then Travis.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Courtney.
Oh, I was completely surprised. But I was the whole time when they introduced Halbrand on the ship, on the little raft, and he got his little clutch and his little thing. I'm like, first of all, there's no Halbrand. I have been down this rabbit hole, and I was like, I have looked down the legacies. Who is this dude? Because there's no Halbrand. He stole that. I from the very beginning, I was like, he stole that little bag, and that he is not the king. I don't know who he is. I thought he was Saruman the White. That's who I thought he was secretly a wizard. But then when it got to the point where he was, since I knew the history of Sauron and how he tricks Celebrimbor into crafting the rings and helping him with the rings, I immediately knew that's exactly who he was. When he was in there, when she took him to the elves, I was like, she taking him to the elves? Why is she taking him to the elves? Why are we taking him there? And why he's still here? And then he, next thing I was like, son of a gun, that is him. That surprised me.
Okay, what about you, Travis? How'd you feel?
Yeah, as soon as the elves started making the rings and he was just hanging out, I'm like, yeah, that's you, dog. That's him. But until then, I had no idea. Like it's so I had the same like, hey, why are you want to see the elves? Like, hey dog, no, because up until that point, I thought that Halbrand was going to be one of the 9 kings, and he was a ring wraith. I thought he was going to be a future ring wraith, and so I
Oh, you
thought,
did.
so I
Okay.
thought, I thought, oh, that's who he was, and not being sure that was necessarily Sauron or Gandalf. But I thought the parallels. I said, come on, this has got to be Gandalf. It's got
It
to be Gandalf.
had to be, because
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
got to
he's
be
with
Gandalf.
the Harfoots, who are
Yeah,
the precursor to
yeah,
the
to the
Hobbits.
hobbits. Yeah, so it's got to be, yeah, and so through process of elimination, we would have got there, but yeah. So, but the reveal I thought was amazing. So even knowing like that's got to be Sauron, it was still cool to see that.
All right, we got a
And
lot of activity in the chat. Mark says an Assassin's Guys needs to be a T-shirt. So Noop from the Ville said, no, I knew the wizard was a red herring. I thought it was Sauron. I knew, was it Halbrand was evil, but not Sauron until it got to Cal Brimbor.
Celebrimbor,
Mhm.
Okay, okay. And then we got it was mad interesting to see the story of the King of the Rings, Wrath in Sidor?
Isildur.
The seal
Sildor, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So, all right. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Courtney, were you about to say something?
I don't know. I mean, oh yeah, I don't even know. Like I was just so caught up. I think that I was going to say, I don't even remember, because I think
Okay.
like what I was talking about in terms of like Sauron and who
Thought
I
it was.
who I thought Halbrand was. I just knew he wasn't one of the kings. And I thought I was getting confused in terms of like the wizard and the blue wizard and like all that stuff. And then the other 3 women who I'm not really certain of as to who they were. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. The history of Sauron, like going back to when Sauron does disguise himself. Like that's in the appendices, that Sauron disguises himself and brings himself to the elves, and he ingratiates himself to the elves and helps them craft the ring. Like he gives them all these like insights, and he really encourages them, like, we need to do this. And yes, he was known as Anatar in Numenor. Like he had a whole other life in Numenor, which is really interesting that they took pieces of that his time in Numenor, how he wanted to stay there, how he wanted to become a blacksmith and all that stuff. And yeah, so when that happened, given that history, I was like, doggone it, that's really him.
Yeah, it was a big reveal to me. I was like, no, I didn't expect it. I thought it was gonna be the one dude who stuck the thing in the ground and turned the thing,
Mhm.
and everything blew up because he was talking to the little boy, and I was like, I bet you that's him right there.
But that's
Oh,
but
but that
even
little basic dude, but like,
Yeah, the
yeah.
real
sorry.
basic dude. I thought
Yeah.
he might come as like a basic kind of
Uh,
person, innocuous that you would never guess who it was.
yes, it's that dude. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But that was what I really liked about the show is yes, it's a prequel, right? And knowing where things, ultimately end up makes some of these like points or lines or scenes that much sweeter, right? Because like, oh snap, like so like when everything caught on fire and that volcano like erupted, I was like, holy shit,
Yeah,
it's
that was dope.
it's Mordor, right? Like this is Mordor, right? Like
Yeah.
I didn't expect that to happen,
And you really
and
thought that hit one. I really thought that hit one. I was like, okay, so where do we go from here? It
right.
was like, we're
Nah,
not done yet.
nah, fam. No,
Yeah, it
this is
was.
the place where the shadows lie. Like
Right.
this is this is where Adar calls home. Like
And the fact that
this.
it became Mordor. Do we think Adar becomes Saruman the White?
I don't know. I don't know. Because I'm thinking those the wizards are those Ishtar, like they are just, aren't they sort of like
The
angels?
Ishtar.
They're like angels, right? Yes.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
why they were seeking him.
So they're like angels. They're like archangels. Yeah. Right. Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And Newt from Deville says Adar is still Elven, so he can't be Sauron
Okay.
in the chat.
Saruman. Well, yeah,
Oh.
yeah, Saruman the White. Okay, so okay. I was just trying to figure out because I don't recall, and I have not read anything about that particular character.
Yeah.
But can I go all the way back to the tippy top, Randy? Like when we started, there was one moment, like there was one thing that happened in the pilot, and I think it was the pilot. Please let me know. It's either the pilot or it's the second episode. But when Galadriel's, the men who were traveling with her, like when they turned on her, that scene in the ice cave, when they finally discovered like one of the last holdouts of Sauron's, like the orcs and his people, and his symbol and everything was there. Like that moment when her dudes like all took a knee against her, it was so powerful and so heartbreaking all at the same time. Like that one moment was enough for that episode to still carry weight for me. Like it wasn't like everything, all the history and the lore and the backstory of the battles and that her brother was having. Because again, they don't even mention the fact that Galadriel was married. She didn't just lose her brother during that time. She lost her husband.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she lost. Like,
series?
no, they don't say that in the series. They say
Okay,
that in the
okay.
histories. But I'm just saying, like, she did. She lost her husband. She lost her husband before she lost her brother. So, and I know they don't talk about that because, like, she has a daughter, and her daughter actually ends up marrying Elrond, and that's how they become. So, like, I mean, they were already close, but they become actually family. Her daughter, I think, is the mother of Arwen.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. I think we've talked about this enough. So let's go ahead and re-rate it. I'm gonna start with Travis since I already know where he's going, but I'm gonna give him a chance to say what he's gonna say. So what we got here, Travis?
Look, we talked about this. All right. I understood the assignment. Okay.
I just don't like your
Just-
bullying tactics. I don't appreciate it like that.
Hey,
I really
man, it's just facts, yo.
I just don't.
It's just facts, son. I'm just spitting facts, and I want you to defend my facts. You know, you can't. You know, I'm unassailable that way. Look, this series, it had great acting, right? It you know there was definitely grand storytelling on a grand level. There were some reveals, like all the things that you need in order to make like the best high fantasy setting. Like like this is the template. This is the blueprint, for modern fantasy. And I think that they attacked it. They nailed it. They wrestled it to the ground. And then when they got up, they had a binge-worthy meal. Yes, sir. Full binge out.
Oh, now you got people in the chat trying to bully us. I don't appreciate this. Courtney, how you rewriting this?
Well, okay. So first of all, let me just say, I did not feel bullied by Travis. It was more of Travis lit the match to the Mission Impossible fuse, and it just sparked the embers for me, because I remembered how much I really enjoy, and it's not from a nostalgia perspective. It is from a perspective of people, filmmakers, storytellers who love the story that they're telling. And that to me is evident in every single moment of this series, from the way the characters are crafted, like the acting, the fact that we were all invested in their story. Even if there were episodes that were slow, we were all invested in their success and or failure.
Come on.
I mean, from the very beginning, like when they give you the map, like they show you where everybody is. They want you to remember where they're going. They're not just sending you here and this, we're going to tell you you're at a castle. No. They want you to see it so you can read it, so you can visually remember this is where you are. So we're following that journey, that boat along with them with every single stop. And I felt that. I felt the storytelling. I felt the mission that they wanted me to receive. And I got my little Mission Impossible and I accepted the mission. And I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Were there some slow episodes? Yes. But those were also, I'm realizing that those were also world building, and they needed to give you that information. You needed that episode with Galadriel in the library in Numenor in order to understand what that symbol really was. You know, like you needed those episodes with like Muriel and her father, and seeing the trees and knowing that the tree only seeds and releases its plants when it's something problematic. They want to let you know that because Numenor was started by the elves. It's just, there's so much lore rooted in this story that you could, it seems like very little, or it seems bland, but it's so deep and rich, you just don't even really understand. So for me, I am going up. I had a good time. I thoroughly, like, I didn't even know how invested I was until I started talking. So yeah, it's a full binge out.
All right, so
Come on.
we got Newt from Hill says it was so well done. It was as if Tolkien and Peter Jackson personally signed off on it. And then Rodney said pacing, some of the dialogue was a little clunky, because that was referring to some questions about some of the things that could make it better. I thought it was a little slow as well. Dialogue I thought was okay. Chuck did send in. He sent his in. He did a full meal. So I guess the thing is with me. All right. So I'm in the middle of some very passionate Tolkien fans, and so you all did a good job of explaining your rationale to support your rating, and it was persuasive and it was convincing. So I thoroughly enjoyed this argument. I walked away feeling that I knew a little bit more about it than I did when I first watched it. So you guys did your little thing. I'll come up. I'll do a full binge.
Yes.
Yeah. You made me think about some things that I just didn't think about. Now, I want to read the books, but they're a little lengthy, so I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I can't catch up with Courtney.
Tolkien's not for everyone, okay? And honestly, because if you think this, and I would actually advise you not to. Because if you have sensitivities around brevity or being succinct, Tolkien is not your man. He spent like 2 pages describing the Ent, right? Like, and that's a walking tree. So if you think about that, like he spent, it's sort of like the literary version of slow motion. I don't know if Tolkien's for you. You should probably just stick to the shows. Yes, lots of walking. Yes.
It is an investment. It is a time commitment. It's kind of a relationship. So Let me just tell you, first of all, The Lord of the Rings, the first book, I think you will enjoy. The Two Towers is the most dense. It did take me, I'm not trying to set you up. I'm going to tell you, I'm pretty sure it's like 1,300 pages, and we're talking real small writing. We're talking like you need a magnifying glass to see these letters. So, this book was like, it was this thick with pages that were letters that were practically invisible. It took me a year just to power through that.
Yeah.
And the Return of the King, I ate it all up. So Lord of the Rings, I flew through. Lord of the Two Towers, I dragged. Return of the King, I destroyed that book. And it was the same, it was very thick, but I destroyed it. And I want to say under 2 weeks, under 2 to 3 weeks, because I just loved it. But
cool. Cool. Okay, we got more chat activity. Mark says Travis can sell water to a whale. Newt from the Ville said you have to be a real lover of this type of world. This is for people who play Dungeons and Dragons in school.
Mm, mm. That's right. That's right.
To be fair, I would have played Dungeons and Dragons. No one invited me when I was in school, but I would have played had they asked.
I owe my whole career to that. You know what I'm saying? So I feel you. I agree.
So, and Catherine says Sir Christopher reads the Silmarillion audiobook, which is nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna look that up.
Okay, cool. All right. So, Courtney, you got anything to say, man, before we head out?
Fantasy is life. Like I'm dead serious. Like fantasy, like Travis said that like Dungeons and Dragons like led him into like who he is. And for me, it's the same. Like it's very similar. Like fantasy caught me, it bit me at a young age, and it never let go of me. You know, like I was the kid in high school. I didn't have Dungeons and Dragons, but I did theater and plays in fifth grade on to like junior high. When I got to high school and they didn't have a theater program, I convinced them to give me one. Like they literally told me, you and your cousin are the only two people who can sing. We can't create a musical theater department. And I was like, you know what? But give me a play. Can I get a play? Can I get a one act? I'll take a one act. So like I finally got my one act play senior year. But like nice. It is something that I think that as artists, like, yes, we watch TV and films, I think, to escape. But at the same time, it's not just we're escaping, we're looking and seeking this hopeful experience that is outside of ourselves. And whatever that turns into, whether it's Tolkien or American Horror Story, you're still looking for this fantasy element. So fantasy is life.
Well said, ma'am. Travis, you got anything to say before we head out, man?
Look, I want to plus one everything Courtney said. When people think about fantasy in its sort of modern incarnation, it started right here. It started with these stories. It started with this whole setup. The whole pointy hat wizard, it's Gandalf, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, Strider, Aragorn, it's a ranger in D&D. Halflings, those are hobbits, and to see all this and to see the precursor to those things and seeing Gandalf before he was Gandalf, before he was even Gandalf the Grey, right? All these things, all these prequels, when done correctly, give you a sense of nostalgia that you never had before, like you never knew you needed. And I am just really grateful and thankful that they were able to place this somewhere that had the money and the passion to give it to us in this fashion and to do it right. I mean,
because they've been working on this for a while.
Thank you. So I don't know if you worked on Lord of the Rings, and you're watching this, thank you. Seriously for this.
Awesome.
And we want more Disa.
Say word.
Well said, everybody. And we want to give a shout out to the chat, everybody that participated. Newt from the Ville, Mark, Dragonborn VR. Thank you guys for participating. We love having your feedback and your input. Want to give a shout out to Digital Click. Digital Click, they do the surroundings, the marketing, they keep us looking good so we can come here and perform our best. And Rodney, he's the eye in the sky who you couldn't hear for a little bit, but we rectified that. He handles all the background technical aspects of everything. So the Geekish Network, we are a network. We are filled with so many talented people. Actresses, writers, directors, technical people, cameramen, people in front of the camera and behind the camera. And we create content for people who look like you. POCs, because we are invested in this space. So please support us. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, all of those various aspects, because we want to continue being able to create top-notch content for people like you. Next week, we are going to be back, same back time, same back channel, and we're going to be doing House of Dragons. I was going to call it Game of Thrones, but it's not Game of Thrones. It's House of the Dragons.
Certainly
It's
not
its
Game of
own-
Thrones.
Huh? Yeah, it's its own property, so it should live in its own space. Travis, buddy, you're welcome to come back too next week, man. If you want to talk some House of Dragons, we
Dracarys.
we appreciate.
If only
having you.
someone had said that.
Oh, I got another fight on my hands.
Yeah, come on. Come on. Come on.
Hey, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. We'll talk to you all later. Peace.